Welcome to the deep dive. You know, if you've ever felt kind of stuck in the same old patterns, or maybe just frustrated by conflict and really wished for a deeper sense of peace, well, today's deep dive offers a pretty radical, new way to look at your inner world.
hmm
We're diving into some key excerpts from A Course in Miracles, specifically its manual for teachers and the workbook for students.
That's right.
And our goal here, our mission, is really to pull out those core transformative insights about, how we perceive reality, the surprising power of forgiveness, the mind's role in healing, and what our true identity actually is.
You think of it as a shortcut,
Mm,
maybe? A way to get to these profound ideas that can genuinely shift how you experience things day to day.
exactly, a shortcut.
And it's important to say this isn't just, another self-help angle. It's really a whole alternative framework for understanding, well, everything, our entire experience.
A
So
different way of seeing.
it asks us to step beyond our usual thinking, definitely, to embrace something quite different.
Okay, let's jump right in then. There's a statement from the source, Workbook Lesson 12, I think, that often makes people pause. You are upset because you see a meaningless world.
Right.
Now that's quite a thing to say, isn't it? I mean, the world feels so full of meaning, often intensely so, with suffering, violence, sadness. How can it possibly be meaningless?
It does sound completely counterintuitive at first glance,
Hmm.
but the core idea here is that the world itself, the physical stuff out there, is actually neutral, like a blank screen.
Okay.
It's empty of any inherent meaning until we project onto it.
Right.
So all those qualities we see, scary, sad, wonderful, whatever those are meanings we give it.
So we're painting the picture, basically.
Exactly. As the text says, whatever I see reflects my thoughts. And this isn't just philosophy. It's presented as a crucial correction for a major perceptual distortion. It's about fixing a fundamental mistake in how we see.
Okay, let's unpack this a bit more. The Course gives these practical exercises, almost simple things like, I do not see this typewriter as it is now, or I do not see a neutral wall because my thoughts about walls are not neutral. What's the real point of these simple statements?
Well, they're designed to get us to see um, what the Course calls the lack of reality of what you think you think. It's a bit mind-bending, right?
Yeah, a little.
The idea is that our mind, when it looks outward for fixed meaning, is actually blank. Recognizing this nothingness, as the Course puts it, is the prerequisite for vision, for seeing truly.
So seeing past our own stuff.
Kind of. We usually see through the filter of our ego goals and personal interests, right? Things we want, things we fear. But the Course argues these are ultimately concerned with nothing, truly real or lasting. So these exercises help us start withdrawing those meanings we've plastered onto everything.
Right, peeling back the layers we added.
Precisely. To see what's underneath, or rather the lack of anything fixed underneath.
Okay. And this feels like it connects directly to another really big idea in the Course, the relinquishment of judgment.
hmm
It calls this the obvious prerequisite for hearing God's voice. That seems so tough, doesn't it? Because, we're raised to believe judging things is smart, it's mature, it shows strength.
It absolutely goes against the grain of the world's training, as the Course calls it. The world tells us good judgment is key.
Yeah.
But this curriculum aims for the opposite. Relinquishing judgment is framed as a necessary condition of salvation.
Salvation.
Yeah.
Which here means more like freedom from suffering, not like hellfire and brimstone.
Exactly. Freedom from the suffering caused by our own illusions, our own misperception, returning to wholeness, to peace. The text is blunt. Wisdom is not judgment. It is the relinquishment of judgment.
Wow.
Because our judgments, from this view, are always based on incomplete information, on our own distorted view. And God's voice, well, that's often understood as that inner knowing, that intuition aligned with love and truth, not necessarily a booming voice from the clouds.
So, if our own judgment is flawed, kind of inherently, that leaves a gap, doesn't it? What's the alternative? Who or what can judge perfectly?
Well, the Course says there is someone with you whose judgment is perfect. This isn't necessarily another person, but that deeper part of our mind, the spirit within, that is connected to truth.
The higher self, maybe?
You could call it that. This someone knows all the facts, past, present, future, and understands all the consequences, and is described as wholly fair.
Okay.
And this ties into God's judgment as his justice. But it's a justice totally lacking in condemnation. It's based entirely on love, on recognizing the truth of who we are beneath the errors. It affirms wholeness, not fault.
That completely reframes forgiveness then. The Course says forgiveness is the final goal of the curriculum. How do the open-minded, as it calls them, approach forgiveness? It sounds like it's way more than just mumbling, "I forgive you."
Oh, much, much deeper. True forgiveness here means letting go of everything that would block it. It's about seeing past the illusion of attack or harm.
Seeing the error, not the sin, maybe.
Something like that. They abandon the world, meaning their old way of seeing it, their judgments, only to find it restored to them in newness and in joy. It's like wiping the slate clean in your own mind.
And that clears the way.
Yeah, it paves the way for what goes far beyond all learning.
Hmm.
It's described as a dream of waking that just sweeps all other dreams away. It's the undoing of the illusion of separation and attack.
There's a line from the workbook, lesson 85, I think. "My grievances hide the light of the world in me." That really hits home. How does holding on to a grudge, feeling resentful, actually block our perception? How does it hide that light?
Well, think about it visually. Holding a grievance is like,
Yeah.
like holding your hands tight over your eyes. The light's still there, right? Inside you, all around. But your focus on the grievance, on the perceived wrong, creates this darkness. You choose to see the darkness instead of the light. Grievances literally show me what is not there. The attack, the separation, and hide from me what I would see. The underlying innocence, the connection, the light. They keep us stuck because, simply put, grievances and light cannot go together.
You can't have both at once.
Exactly. And fundamentally, a grievance is seen as an attack on God's plan for salvation, an attack on the truth of our shared wholeness and connection. It keeps the illusion of separation going.
Okay, shifting gears a bit, but maybe related. Another really challenging idea. Sickness is a decision.
Right. That one causes a lot of friction.
Yeah, it sounds harsh. Like blaming people for being ill. How do we understand that? Does it really mean we consciously choose to get sick?
It's definitely one of the most startling ideas. But it's not about blame in the conventional sense. It's about the mind's power. Sickness is described as a choice you make, a plan you lay.
A plan.
Yeah, often arising subconsciously when truth arises in your own deluded mind. And your whole sense of self feels shaky. It acts like a defense mechanism, a way to make an uncomfortable spiritual truth go away, because that truth threatens the ego's identity of being separate, vulnerable, just a body.
So the sickness becomes proof.
Exactly. Proof the body is not separate from you, and so you must be separate from the truth. It's like a strategic retreat back into the physical, away from a potentially overwhelming spiritual insight. So it's a choice, maybe unconscious, but a choice rooted in fear of losing that separate identity.
Okay, that framing helps. It's less about conscious willing and more about subconscious defense. So what's fascinating here is, if sickness is a decision, even an unconscious one, what does that imply about healing? Who's the real physician?
It completely flips the script on healing. The Course states the true physician is only the mind of the patient himself. The outcome, the healing, is entirely what he decides that it is.
Wow. So
Now,
doctors, medicine, they're secondary.
from this perspective, yes. It says special agents seem to be ministering to him, like doctors and treatments, but they ultimately but give form to his own choice. They reflect the internal decision. And it even says they're not actually needed at all for the ultimate healing, which happens in the mind.
That's radical.
It is. It suggests no form of sickness that would not be cured at once. If the person truly decided deep down, I have no use for this, meaning I have no use for this defense mechanism.
So healing isn't just about fixing the body.
No. Healing is the opposite of all the world's ideas which dwell on sickness and on separate states. It's fundamentally about changing the mind, shifting perception, letting go of the belief in separation and attack.
So if sickness is tied to this idea of separation, of being just a body, what does this say about who we really are, our identity beyond that?
It points to a completely different identity. The text says, sickness is a defense against the truth, but I am not a body, and my mind cannot attack, so I cannot be sick.
I am not a body my mind cannot attack, so I cannot be sick. That's a lot to take in.
It is. The body is seen as a dream, a projection, a perception, not our fundamental reality. And because it's a dream, its purpose can be changed by the mind.
And healing isn't just personal then.
Right. When I am healed, I'm not healed alone. The world might see healing as isolating, retreating to get better. But here, true healing is about recognizing our connection with everyone. It extends outwards.
Okay. The text also talks about God's teachers and says to teach is to demonstrate. What are we supposed to be demonstrating? What's the purpose here?
Well, the core idea is there are really only two thought systems. One is based on fear, separation, the ego. The other is based on love, unity, truth.
Fear or love.
Basically.
Yeah.
And we are always demonstrating which one we believe in. through our thoughts, our words, how we treat people, how we react. We teach what we ourselves want to learn. And by teaching or demonstrating, we learn it more deeply.
So teaching isn't just standing up and lecturing.
Not at all. Teaching is but a call to witnesses to attest to what you believe. Every interaction is a teaching moment, a demonstration. It's a method of conversion, showing yourself and others the reality you choose, living it.
And the Course is very direct. My only function is the one God gave me. What is that one function? Why is that so key?
That single function is identified as salvation. And again, we have to remember what salvation means here. Being saved from illusion, from suffering, from the belief in separation, returning to peace, wholeness.
So not saving souls in the traditional sense, but saving ourselves from our own mistaken ideas.
Exactly. And recognizing this is our purpose requires the relinquishment of all the other goals you have invented for yourself, the ego goals.
Letting go of the chase stuff. Status.
Pretty much. Because the logic follows, God gives you only happiness. Therefore, our true function must be happiness. Not pursuing happiness out there, but realizing it is our function, our nature. We are declared the light of the world, and this function is given by God. It's inherent.
Wow. That's a shift from I need to find my purpose to my purpose is happiness, is being the light.
Precisely. It's already there.
So connecting this to the bigger picture, how does our inherent strength, this light, relate to God's strength? And what about miracles? The Course talks a lot about miracles.
Yeah, they're central. The foundation is laid out clearly. God is my source. I cannot see apart from them. If God is the source, then God is indeed your strength.
Our strength comes from the source.
Right, and it's not limited. Your holiness is totally unlimited in its power because it establishes you as a son of God at one with the mind of his creator. That means your true self, your holy self, shares in God's limitless power.
Okay.
And this connects to miracles. Miracles are seen in light, and light and strength are one. A miracle, in ACIM terms, isn't necessarily parting the Red Sea. It's a shift in perception, a shift from fear to love, which allows us to see reality differently.
Just seeing with strength, with light, is the miracle.
In essence, yes. It is God's strength in you that is the light in which you see, as it is his mind with which you think. Our true will is aligned with God's will, which is only love and peace. And choosing that alignment, that willing, is salvation because it is communication. Communication with our source, with reality.
Okay. Now, the text mentions a period of relinquishment for these God's teachers. They might feel like they're sacrificing things they value, but then find happy lightheartedness and a gift. What's this sacrifice of nothing? That sounds paradoxical.
It is a beautiful paradox. The sacrifice of nothing is the realization that the world has nothing to give that holds any real lasting value.
Nothing the ego chases anyway.
Exactly. Things the world values, power, fame, money, even physical pleasure, are all tied to the body, which the Course says cannot evaluate true worth. When our mind gets caught up chasing these, it associates itself with the body, obscuring its identity. It forgets its spirit. So by letting go of these things that are ultimately valueless from a spiritual standpoint, we don't actually lose anything real. Instead, we experience this gift, this lightness, this joy. It's not a loss, it's a gain.
So giving up the illusion is the gift.
Precisely. The Course contrasts it sharply. Heaven asks nothing. It is hell that makes extravagant demands for sacrifice. We're giving up the demands of the ego, not sacrificing anything true.
This whole path seems to lead towards a really profound sense of peace. How does the Course describe the end of the world? It's not like fire and brimstone, right? It sounds more internal.
Definitely internal, not an apocalypse. The text says things like the world will end in joy because it is a place of sorrow, and the world will end in peace because it is a place of war.
An end to sorrow, an end to war within us.
Yes, and in laughter because it is a place of tears. How does this happen? Only complete forgiveness brings all this to bless the world. It transforms our perception, turning our inner hell into heaven.
Through forgiveness.
Through complete forgiveness. The ultimate state, the experience we reach, is described simply as the stillness of the peace of God is mine. It's the end of our belief in a world of fear and separation.
And how does this internal shift affect how we relate to others? Does it lead to connection or isolation?
Right.
Recognizing our true home. What does that mean practically?
Oh, it leads directly to connection, deep connection. There's a workbook lesson that says, my home awaits me, I will hasten there. But this isn't about dying and going somewhere else.
Yeah.
It's about a change of mind about the purpose of the world. Recognizing our true home is realizing we are one self, united with my Creator, at one with every aspect of creation, and limitless in power and in peace.
Oneself united.
Yes, and when we truly feel that, feel the love of God within me now, as another lesson puts it, all pain and sorrow just dissolve. The conclusion is this profound sense of unity. We thank our Father for one thing alone, that we are separate from no living thing, and therefore one with Him.
Wow. That unity is our true state, our home, accessible right now through that change of mind.
That's the promise.
So we've covered a lot today. We've journeyed through some really profound and sometimes challenging insights from A Course in Miracles. We looked at how our perception really does shape our experience, the truly radical nature of forgiveness, the mind's incredible role in health and illness, and our inherent identity as powerful, holy, and deeply connected beings.
Uh,
What this deep dive really suggests is a fundamental shift in perspective is possible. A move away from seeing the world through eyes of fear and conflict towards experiencing peace, joy, and unity. And the key seems to be choosing to change our internal thought system.
it all comes back to that inner choice.
So, for you listening, what transformation might unfold in your life if you genuinely leaned into this idea? If you truly embraced that your deepest purpose is simply happiness, and that every difficulty, every challenge you face is actually just an opportunity for true forgiveness to reveal the light that's already within you.